mud rice scramble around the back on the north side beside the ATV. I shot him one more time. Then I shot him one time. I looked to the west.
Oh, what's going on, TastyCandy fam? Hope everybody's having a good day today. Today's topic is going to be about a hunting homicide story. To be a little bit more specific, it's going to be about the case of Soua Vang. And then on today's background, it's just going to be a game footage of me playing League of Legends. If you guys have a suggestion on what kind of games you guys want me to play next, or what kind of topic you guys want me to talk about, make sure you guys leave a comment down below. I also linked down my social media in the description down below, so if you guys have time, make sure you guys check that out too. Alright, let's get into the case. So this case is pretty controversial, so I'll try to be as unbiased as possible. I'll be giving a brief summary of what this case is about, what happened, and then I'm going to speak on both sides so you guys can get a point of view of Soua Vang as well as the victim, Terry Willers. This case is pretty graphic. There's a lot of bad words that's been said too, so if this is something that you're not comfortable with, now's kind of the chance to click out of it and watch something else. But this is just a warning. But I will try to keep it as PG as possible. So this case happened November 21st, 2004. A Minneapolis hunter, Soua Vang, was asked to leave a deer stand located on private property in Wisconsin. The situation escalated and Vang opened fire on the property owner and his hunting guests, killing 6 and wounding 2 others. Vang, a resident of St. Paul, Minnesota, is a Hmong American from Laos. He became lost while hunting in the area and asked 2 hunters for directions. He ended up on 400 acres of private property and climbed up on a deer stand that he'd found. According to investigators, Terry Willers, co-owner of the land, rode by the site and saw someone in the deer stand. He radioed back to the hunting cabin where he and 14 others were staying, asking who was in the stand, and was told that no one was supposed to be there. Willers said that he would ask the hunter to leave. The others from the private property decided to drive their ATVs to the scene. When told to leave the deer stand, Vang complied and began to walk away from the scene. As he walked away, 5 members of the hunting party, including Bob Courteau, who co-owned the property with Willers, confronted Vang. And then someone in the private party wrote down Vang's out-of-state license number that was posted correctly behind him. According to the survivors of the incident, Vang walked about 40 yards away from the party. He then took off his scope and then fired at the private party with a semi-automatic rifle. 3 of the hunters were shot in the initial burst of the fire, including Willers, who was the only other man in the group who was carrying a gun. Vang then fled the scene and became lost again. 2 hunters who were unaware of the shooting incident walked him out of the woods. As they left the woods, 5 hours after the shooting, a Department of the Natural Resources officer recognized the hunting license number on Vang's back and took him into custody. So that pretty much sums up the situation that happened. And then here are some facts about Soua Vang if you guys don't know who he is. So Soua Vang is from Minnesota, St. Paul. His race is Asian. His ethnicity is Hmong. He's 5'4". He weighs 145 pounds. He also has a family of 5 kids. And he also served in the National Guard and achieved sharpshooter status. And like I said earlier, this case is really controversial. A lot of the news and the media was making this case as a race and cultural issue rather than actually focusing on the case itself. This is just from my research. If you guys are interested in this, you guys could do a little bit more digging yourself. When it was time to go to court, Soua Vang's lawyers requested to move his case into a different location because they felt that he wouldn't get a fair trial in Hayward. It was later denied. His jury selection took only 3 hours, and it consisted of 4 men, 10 women, and they were all white. Soua was later found guilty of 6 charges of first-degree murder and 3 first-degree murder of attempted murder charges, and then was sentenced to life in prison. Alright, so first let's take a look at Terry Willers' side of his story. Terry Willers spotted Vang on his tree stand. He was out hunting and then he spotted Soua Vang and told him to leave. He even pointed and told Vang the direction. Soua Vang began walking away, and then he radioed back to his friends at his cabin, saying he caught a tree rat. Robert Courteau and 5 of his hunting buddies boarded 2 ATVs and drove to the scene to confront Soua Vang. Terry's testimony said that Soua Vang wasn't repeatedly cursed at and could have walked away from the start. Lauren Hasbeck's testimony, one of the 2 survivors shot by Vang, had a different testimony.
What were you doing in my son's tree stand. You think the fucker grew there by itself? Asked him, what the fuck are you doing here? Do you know you're on private land? Bob stated, do you know you came across 400 acres of private land to get here? Hell out of here. If you come back, I'm gonna kick your ass. Better yet, I'll report you to the DNR.
After everything settled down, everybody got back on their ATVs and head back to the cabin. But Lauren told Robert to stop because he sensed that something was wrong. Terry claims that he saw Soua Vang take his rifle off his shoulder first. Terry said he ran to the right and never fired a shot. At that time, Lauren told his wife that he heard Terry return fire, which Terry claims he never shot. So that kind of sums up Terry Wheeler's side of the story, so let's get into Soua Vang's side of the story. So, Soua Vang was actually with the hunting group, but when they separated, he got lost. He then saw a tree stand, which he climbed up there because he was trying to find and navigate his way out. That's when Terry came and saw him and shouted at him to get down. Soua Vang apologized to Wheelers, saying that he didn't know it was private property, and then he walked away, heading southeast. He then heard Terry radio back and knew that people were coming after him. Moments later, Robert showed up to the scene. He confronted Soua aggressively.
You on my sound stand?
Did you
Then I say, yes. He said, why the fuck you on my sound stand? Then I say, I didn't know what your stand. You are trespassing 400 acres of land, you damn gook. I say, no, because I don't see any sign, I don't see any fence anywhere. And he said, I don't have to put a fucking sign on you, fucking chink.
Dennis, Mark, and Lauren finally showed up to the scene. Dennis and Mark came with 2 ATVs and jumped out of it while Lauren came closer to Soua. The first thing that Lauren did was call him a gook and blocked his path. And as he did that, Soua tried to step away. If you guys don't know what gook means, that's basically equivalent to calling a black person the N-word. When all this is happening, during this time, Joseph drove his ATV and blocked Soua Vang's path behind him as well. Soua was basically surrounded at every single corner. Lauren then went behind Soua to check his hunting tag, and then said that he was going to report Soua to the DNR. After they got Soua Vang's information, they all got back on their ATVs and tried to head back to the cabin. As they all left, Soua Vang constantly looked back because he was afraid they might do something else to him. Soua claims that he saw Terry take his rifle off his shoulder first. Soua then immediately dropped down on his right on a crouch and heard a gunshot, which he saw dirt splash right in front of him about 15 feet away. And then after that, everything just went chaotic. Soua dropped his scope and aimed his gun at Terry, shot him, but missed the first round but got him after that. And then at that time, everybody just started scattering everywhere to different locations. Soua claims that he did see them trying to grab for something that looks like a rifle case. And then Soua Vang ended up killing 6 people and wounding 2 people. Alright, so that was Soua Vang's side of the story. Now here comes the question that everybody is dying to know. Who shot the first shot? Because they're putting blames on each other. Soua claims that it was Terry who shot first, but Terry said that it was Soua who shot first. During the investigation, they never found any evidence that proved that Terry even shot his gun. But this also brings me to Lauren's testimony when he told his wife that he thought he heard Terry return fire at Soua. So I'm gonna give you guys my thoughts about this case, and I'm gonna try to be unbiased as possible. I honestly think this all could have been prevented if Terry just showed Soua his way out. I get that he wanted to call his buddies to, let him know that there's somebody on their private property, but that escalated the whole problem. So from Lauren's testimony about Robert, he was saying some pretty harsh words at Soua Vang. Lauren also said some harshful words too, but that was from Soua's side, so I'm not too sure about that part. But the part that doesn't make sense to me is that why would Soua Vang by himself pick a fight with 8 other hunters who potentially have guns? Even if you are trained in the military, if there's 8 people who potentially have guns, your odds are really slim when it's 1 to 8. So who do I think fired the first shot? Well, first of all, let's put this in 2 different scenarios. Terry shooting first and Soua Vang shooting first. So let's start with Terry. I think Terry probably shot because he thought it was funny. He probably wanted to make his buddies laugh and prove a point to Soua Vang that, oh, next time don't come here again. Even though he said that he never fired a shot even when Soua Vang fired at him, if you go back to Lauren's testimony, he told his wife that he thought that Terry actually shot back. So this just gives me a red flag that, something's up. Either somebody's lying or they're covering up for something. This is why I think that Terry could potentially have shot Chai Vang first. And then the second scenario is Chai Vang shooting at Terry first. I think that Chai Vang was just super scared during that time. His adrenaline rush was probably just going through the roof at this point. Any movement that Terry makes, he probably thinks it's a threat or Terry's trying to kill him. And when he's that scared, I don't think that his mental state is actually there. He's probably hearing things that he shouldn't be hearing, and he's probably seeing things that he shouldn't be seeing. Just when he said that he claims Terry shot at him and he saw dirt splash right in front of him, I think that could have just been something that was going through his brain and tricking him. But if I have to choose one and think that that is the person who shot first, in my unbiased opinion, I think that Chai Vang shot first. Only because they never found any evidence proving Terry actually shot his gun. And again, I'm not choosing Terry's side or Chai Vang's side. I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible, doing my research, looking at the facts, and then coming up with my conclusion. But at the end of the day, we'll never know what happened. We'll never know who shot first. All I know is that this is just so unfortunate that any of this even happened at all.
We do not know how we feel. Although we know it's not a surprise to us, we already know that. Every single one of them was white. They would not understand. They will never understand what my brother went through up there.
The only thing that Bob and Joey deserved that day was to continue enjoying our family tradition of being together. Even though 6 lives were lost that day, last November, a countless number of lives were forever changed.
You have to think about it, use your common sense. 8 people against 1 guy. He had to defend himself. If he doesn't defend himself, he could be dead already. We'll never find his body at this time.
Yeah, that basically sums up the whole story, and if you guys enjoyed this, I'll leave a link down below so you guys can watch the documentary where I got most of my clips from. It's a really interesting story, so I highly suggest you guys to do your research online as well. Anyways, that's the end of the video. Thank you guys for making it to the very end of the video. And if you guys haven't yet, smash that like button because it really does help me out. And also, don't forget to subscribe so you guys don't miss out on any content that I post up in the future. And comment down below. Let me know what kind of games you guys want me to play next or what kind of topic you guys want me to talk about. Hope you guys enjoyed this video and see you guys on the next one.